Hey party people, this is Jeremy for MVM, and today I'm here with another Kickstarter preview for Prisma Arena, which is a game for 2 to 4 players, plays in about 30-60 minutes. In this game, you are in arena combat situation. As a matter of fact, you're not really combating each other, you are training with each other. You're recruits in a time of despair, you represent the hope, and you are guardians. You want to become guardians, and in order to do that, you must train in this kind of like training battlefield in a sense. What you're really doing is you're shooting your blasters, you are striking each other and moving around tactically along with your friendly Moken who represents your emotions currently at the time that will give you buffs and help you get around. And as you do this, hopefully, if you get to the right spot, you can unlock your Prisma Kata and develop into this wonderful hero. This game has a lot going on to it that you may not necessarily see right away, but we're going to talk about all the little details. We're even going to have some publisher commentary in there so that you get the concept beyond beyond of what you're going to see here today. And for some reason, I felt the need to show that, and you can also check out that live play from last week on our Facebook page. But there are some interesting stuff like character customization with stickers, and you can develop the different looks of your characters. I'm just going to go ahead and tease that, but let's go ahead and get to the board so you can find out more about this game and make an informed backing decision. All right, let's dive right into the setup for a game of Prisma Arena. Now, you have two sides to the board, one for 2 players and one for 3 to 4 players. All it really changes is the zones that you start in. Your standee and your Moken will start in a set of 4 color spaces. As long as the spaces are free, you can put them anywhere. You have to make sure your scoring token is there. Furthermore, about the board, you have this middle spot here with this gem right here, represents Prisma, your Prisma powers that can be unlocked. You cannot have this side flip to the side unless you have a level 1 or more. This actual middle part comes out and flips over for training, and that's what we're going to be featuring today is training. These are obstacles, and depending on player count, players will receive them and they will put them out one by one to kind of make obstacles and ways to kind of block everybody from attacks and blasts and stuff like that. So they're a really interesting strategic part that goes into that as well. You also want to prep these decks here, these Prisma decks. You shuffle them up. These are going to be the abilities that you'll unlock if you get into this spot right here. And that's basically the board in a nutshell. Now, starting with the players, you're going to have a card that's a player aid, shows you the rounds, shows you the actions that you can take in the game. You'll also have this kind of action wheel. It will start at ready and face the board. You'll have your character card, which there are 2 versions of your character card. There's the one on the back that has nothing on the back, and then there's a version that has your development on the track, because every time you play the game, you're going to add these points and knock these pips off so that you can develop and unlock your next level. And we'll cover that a little bit deeper here in a minute, but you can write your hero name on here, and you can write your actual name. It has your skill abilities. It also has your level. If you put stickers there, it will show you. Yes, I said stickers. It will show you what level you are. And then you have your movement, your force, which is what you attack for, and then also your health pool, which is 6. Your Moken, which are your partners, kind of like your Pokemon partners, they will also have their own card. They're a little bit lesser on the attacks and damage, but they make up for it with their own abilities, which will assist you by proximity, and we'll talk about that a little deeper. You'll also have a set of combo cards, which we'll touch on in the gameplay, but you're going to have 3 of these in your hand at the start of the game. And finally, I've been kind of holding off on this right here, is this locker. And what's going to be in this locker is your access to these stickers, okay? So for each stance, for your standee, which you'll start with, you have these stickers where you can change your facial expressions, you can add your hair, your different helmets and things like that. And as you develop and you go across this bottom right here, developing the level 1, 2, 3, and 4, you will also change your body kit. In between matches, you can change your hairstyles and the way you look, but you can also prepare your Prisma powers that you've had up to your level. So there's a lot of customization going into it, and I love to see, honestly, my people in this game. And I want to show you a little bit. I was playing with the designer last week, and I cut a little bit out of it just to kind of give you an idea of what the concept for this game was. I think it might be valuable to some of you. Why don't you go ahead and take a look? I'll put it right in there, and we'll get to the gameplay.
So it immediately ruled out the idea of using minis. And we thought, well, if we're going to use standees, what could we do with the standee that you could never do with a mini?
Yeah.
And it was this whole idea of customization. And then that opened up this whole world of, well, self-representation. So working with my children and linking up with different groups and talking to different people kind of from around the world, we really looked at the character designs and tried to introduce characters that you don't normally get to see in games, because the appearance of your character isn't tied to their abilities. Because we've all played those games where the big kind of black guy is the bruiser.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
there's the kind of sexy Mediterranean female who's the thief,
Yeah.
The dexterity character. It doesn't work like this in this game. If you want your hero to be the big bruiser, they can be. If they want to be super defensive, they can be that as well. We tried to disconnect the two things from each other by allowing you to tune your powers, but also tune your appearance at the same time.
All right, party people, let's talk about how a round works. First, it's going to start with this advantage and disadvantage thing here. Players can choose to defer their turn, first player, to other players to see kind of how things play out, or they can choose to actually go first and maybe pounce on an opportunity if they can. So there's a first choice you have. And on your turn, you will start from a ready, and then you will take an action, one of these three actions. But every character is going to take an action, every single one of your characters. So on your turn, you'll choose one, and then you'll take an action, and it'll go clockwise around. Next time, you will take an action with one of your characters, and that will go around. And that's how basically a round goes. You could get bounced or taken out of the game for temporarily, but you still get your action if you still have an action this round. So it doesn't eliminate you from the game. Now on your turn, you're going to take this action wheel from ready to one of the actions, which is blast, strike, and finally movement. And there's also circles in these different areas here and X's for combos, which we'll talk about. But the first one is move. You'll tilt this towards the move towards the board, and you will take 0 to 4 of movement. And you can move diagonal once, and of course, since it says 0, you don't have to make a move at all. You can't move through any of the obstacles, but you can use them to block blast if you are using blast. Blast is a 2 to 4 area blast of energy with your force, which could be 3 or 2, just depending on if it's your hero or your Moken. And you'll add those little chits to the player's board. So if I hit for 3 against the pink player, I would add those 3 to the character. And I'm paying attention to the life of that character because those are going to contribute to points, and it's also going to potentially bounce a character out. Now, I should have said this before, but when you're moving, you also could get into a grapple situation and it would stop you. There's a certain requirement of like a north, south, east, and west of the character piece and a character standee. And when you do, you're in a grapple state, meaning you can't move out unless you use combo cards, or your Moken has this ability where it may be able to get you out of there. But you will probably want to take advantage of that by using a strike for the exact same amount of force. Could be 3. Could be 2, just depends on the character, and then you will add the chits accordingly. Now, I did mention combos. Combos are going to be added to any one of these actions depending on if it has the symbol or not. So under the strike, I have a circle. So I will go ahead and play a card like this one right here that says sprint, and I can move 1 to 6 spaces. All right, so it allows me to move. So I can strike somebody and move, but I may also need a specific card to do certain things. But then after that, I may want to run to somebody else and do a blast because I have an X that's there. And what we'll do is we'll keep playing these cards that will give you little combos and help you get away sometimes, or make you move 1 step back and then maybe get a blast, those types of things. But ultimately, if you ever bounce somebody, you're going to score those points, and you're trying to get to 12 points. The player will be able to come back in, they'll get to one of their spots if they still have an action, or they'll have to wait until next round to be able to go again. And then that's basically a round. Players are going to be trying to reach 12 points or 20 points. But at the end of the round, you're going to refresh, you're going to receive 2 combo cards. You will take all the cards that you've used, you will put them in the opponent that's clockwise to use discard pile. So eventually these cards will cycle around. You'll turn your character, your action dial to ready, and then you will pass the advantage token in a 3 or 4 player game. Now, one thing I did not talk about are the abilities in the game and the Prisma power. I'll just briefly mention the Prisma power because it's not in training mode. The Prisma power, if you go in the middle of the board where there's a little jewel there, you can actually draw cards and pick one of the powers that's in there and use them for future games. You also have the ability to use abilities during the game. Now, most of that's generated from your Moken, but you're also going to have some that you have as well as when you develop from level to level. But the Moken are the key here. They represent your emotions, and what they do is they do things like buff your movements. They take hits for you. They give you extra health. They run and grapple people so they can't get away. All kinds of different cool little things, but they represent your emotional state, and it's kind of part of the theme, which I thought was really interesting. Now, as far as other modes go, you can also have a team game where it's a race to 13 points, and you can also have ties, but it's a friendly tie game because you're in training. And I just like that idea, by the way. I should just say that because you're really trying to help each other get better, which the publisher really made a clear point of talking about, and I wanted to share that with you.
This really sticks with me with my daughter when she was playtesting the game, and she was about 10 at the time, playing with me, and I was explaining how when you fight, you're fighting against each other and you're training, and players don't die in the game. You get bounced like in laser tag. And she said, "Oh, so like you're not trying to kill each other; you're trying to make each other better."
Yes.
And my immediate kind of response, that's totally what this game is going to be about. And we basically shaped everything around this honorable aspect of your training, and you're actually by sparring with each other, you level up. Because the only way you can level up is by playing against someone else.
Yeah.
So it's like you help each other to get stronger, so that when the time comes, you can protect, hope.
I think I've covered everything. So let's go ahead and get to my final thoughts about Prisma Arena. All right, party people, final thoughts here. And I'm going to try to keep this short, but there's some things inside of me here for this one, simply because it does connect with me in some things beyond the table. I'll start there. Some of the clips I put in there is because I think that I want you to know that the designer gets it. And it actually surprised me enough to where I felt like I needed to clip those into the preview, because I was like, yeah, that actually, man, that's a little bit beyond the table of what we see. And it's partly because of my skin color being represented in a positive manner, working together to get better. And even the hairstyles that are in there and just the style of the characters really matches, and it's not kind of a backhanded way of representing us, meaning people of my origin. Now, the gameplay, oh goodness. Now, this game is more strategic than meets the eye, partly because you got the combo card play, you got these different Mokens that give you different abilities to kind of work together, plus combo, and then the way the game comes out with this Prisma stuff, so you have different abilities that characters can use. And I mean, if this game has a long game to it, and you have some tournament play, you can look at your character and be like, oh, that person's level 3, or this person's level 2, and they look different. So I really did enjoy seeing that idea, and the stickers are just, come on, man, stickers. You get to put stickers on your characters, go back to your locker and change, and come out for your next training session. That's got to be attractive for families and casual gamers alike. I don't care. I think everybody has an opportunity to like a game like this. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there because I think there's enough information being shared for you to make an informed backing decision. I can never tell anybody what to do with their money, though. And with that, thank you so much for Hub Games for sponsoring this video, and I'd like to thank you for your time. Take care, party people. You have a wonderful day.